It took a jury just 90 minutes to come to a unanimous decision in the murder trial of a former Kaufman County Justice of the Peace.
We, the jury, unanimously find the defendant, Eric Lyle Williams, guilty of capital murder as charged in the indictment.
This morning, the Rockwall County jury heard closing arguments, and that is when the defense tried to explain why Eric Williams could not have killed Cynthia McClellan, the wife of the Kaufman County District Attorney.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Eric Williams did not commit these murders. And how do you know that? There's not one single piece of biometric evidence that ties Eric to the McClellan home.
It's a circumstantial evidence case. It's like a net. You piece it all together and it tracks Eric Williams.
Don't forget to stay behind, folks.
The jury has the day off tomorrow, but Monday morning the punishment phase begins. Criminal defense lawyer Barry Sorrels was an observer for much of the trial, so we appreciate you being here with us tonight. You surprised at how quick all this happened, the trial and then the verdict?
Not really. The evidence on guilt or innocence was overwhelming. This case was indefensible on the issue of did Eric Williams commit the offense of capital murder.
And that's why we didn't hear much from the defense.
That's right, because they knew that if they challenged this evidence that was not challengeable,
right,
then they would affect their that would affect their credibility in the eyes of the jury. And they're saving their credibility for the battles that they feel like they have the best chance on, and that's the battle on the special issues that only apply in capital murder cases at the punishment phase of this capital murder trial.
All right, so talk about what those special issues are, what the jury's going to need to consider.
Right, well, in regular criminal cases, the issue is guilty or not guilty, and then in regular criminal cases on punishment, the jury assesses punishment. In capital murder cases, the jury answers special issues. The first special issue that's relevant is there a probability that the defendant will commit violent acts in the future and be a continuing threat to society? The state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that there is a probability of future dangerousness. So they have to answer yes. The state has to get the jury to answer yes to that. If they answer no, then it's a life sentence without the possibility of parole. The other special issue is based upon any of the evidence in this case, is there any facts that mitigate against the imposition of the death penalty? That's called mitigation. The state is going to argue and present evidence there's not. The defense is going to argue and present evidence that there is. On both those issues, that he's not a future danger and that there is mitigation in this case that would justify a life sentence. So you can see that it's a different type of issues to resolve on punishment.
So this is where it becomes more subjective for the jury. They're going to hear about revenge. They're going to hear about anger. Are they going to hear about anything about those things, do you think, from Kim Williams, Eric Williams' wife?
Well, it's, I think that most people think, including myself, that Kim Williams is going to hit the witness stand. If she didn't, I wouldn't be shocked. But I would think, based upon what I've observed, there's a probability she is. And I think based upon the final arguments of the defense attorney in this case, Matthew Seymour, where he mentioned her name as a person that could have sent the email to Crime Stoppers at the computer from home, and
right,
also could have done the LexisNexis search about the McClellans prior to the murders, that's sort of foreshadowing that Kim Williams could be a target on the issue of future dangerousness for Eric Williams and on the issue of mitigation also. So I'm sure both sides are deciding whether or not the state, whether to put her on or not. That's their decision. And then if they do, the defense is, I'm sure, deciding what's the best evidence and points they can make with her testimony.
So the jury's going to hear all this. They heard the facts, and they're going to go to the subjective part of this and the punishment part of the trial. With Eric Williams' demeanor, they're watching him. He had a much different demeanor to me, it seemed anyway, today, more just kind of no emotion. What were your thoughts on looking at him and his reaction?
To be honest, and I've been doing this a long time.
Sure.
Eric Williams' demeanor in the courtroom is puzzling to me. for the first few days of the trial, he just seemed so familiar with the process and so comfortable with being there. It
Like
was-
an arrogance
it was,
almost,
it was,
kind of?
It was, you know, it's hard for me to describe. It was just odd.
Yeah.
I think that some of that is disappearing, and he's becoming more stoic, especially, you know, just before the verdict and when it was read. So it's difficult to figure him out, in short.
Well, and that's the reality maybe perhaps of what's happening with that guilty verdict coming down.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's tough. It's tough to read into where he's at by looking at him.
Sure. Barry, I appreciate you coming in.
Okay, thank you, Heather.
so much.
Appreciate
And
it.
of course, as the punishment phase in begins, we'll be checking with you more throughout the week next week.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Barry. Appreciate it.